All right, D, let's get into running back. I think we both believe this is one of the stronger.
Yeah, before we get to running back, we're gonna do this a little different with the spots now. This is the running back depth chart analysis is sponsored by my dude at Duffy's Tavern. Shout out to Jose, shout out to Junior, shout out to the whole crew. This place is unbelievable. Now accepting credit cards. Pete, you're home away from home, as we see. Look at this video here. Look at that. There's like the chicharrones right there, the pork rinds, whatever you want to call them, from Duffy's Tavern. Food critic out there having fun. Have you ever heard of this guy, Querico con Kiko?
Yeah, man, he's big.
Yeah,
big deal
Querico. I see the case threw me off. Querico con Kiko. I get it. So there's a legend right here, apparently. Grabbing some grub.
Con fritters. Look at this. Get the wings.
Legendary spot. I mean, just look at the walls, man. You see all the stuff on the walls. This place has been around. So you talk about quarterback U. This place was around when Miami really was quarterback U. Yeah, Steve Walsh, Craig Erickson working there, Bernie Kosar hanging out, Jim Kelly. I mean, that's the kind of history we're talking about at Duffy's Tavern, 57th, right next to University of Miami. Look at that. Look at that grub.
Got that club sandwich there.
Yeah, man. These guys are loving it. And again, you can bring your family here. It's a family atmosphere. You can watch games. There is my guy Jose right there, making sure everything rolls as it should. You got the ribs, the Def Dog, my personal favorite from back in the day. It's been the same thing since I was a kid, watching Miami against random Big East teams at Duffy's Tavern on the road. So again, shout out to Duffy's Tavern. Now accepting credit cards. This is not the Duffy's chain. This is the real deal, authentic Miami spot. Great place to watch a game, have dinner with your family, all of the above. Duffy's Tavern. All right. So, those turkey club smack, Traymore knows. So here we go. Let's get ready to jump into the running back position here. Oh, by the way, I just got an important announcement because I screwed up the pronunciation. So I'm going to fix this because I screwed up and I apologize to the young man. I said Jabari Antoine. It's actually Jabari Antoine. So gave him a big shout out yesterday on the podcast because he was really playing very well. So I was reminded, and thank you for the reminder. And I apologize to the young man, Jabari Antoine. All right, so let's talk about running backs, man. That's a position you're fired up about. I know. I'm going to start again. Let's go kind of experience down the line. These are going to be the guys that have played, at least for Miami. So let's start with Mark Fletcher, who we've seen for 2 years now. First healthy offseason he's really had where he's able to work out all summer. He's been recovering. Last summer, he was recovering from that foot injury the whole summer. He didn't even know he was going to play. He scores 2 touchdowns the first game against Florida. Year before, he was banged up in the summer. Really in high school, banged up. He gets banged up a lot because just the way he runs, his size, and the kind of being a big target right there. But very, very productive for Miami last year. You look at the numbers. He was over 5 yards a carry. He did everything from a let's see, he was 5.4 yards a carry, 607 yards, 9 touchdowns, countless first downs, 106 yards receiving. He was our best pass blocker by, a country mile. And he was a great lead blocker as well when he did split backs with some of the other backs. So, I'm just extremely high on Mark Fletcher always. Oh, Marquez Williams saying no fullbacks. Not true. First of all, shout out to Marquez Williams, draft pick. I think Miami's last draft pick at fullback since the first one says maybe our Alonzo Highsmith. So shout out to Marquez Williams. There are some fullbacks, and we're talking about Fletcher here. Fletcher's a running back, right? So Fletcher, 607 yards last year at 5.4 yards a clip, 9 touchdowns. You're a running back. He's explosive. He knows how to run. He's been running productively since he was a little kid. But one thing that I think he can do, and Marquez, I think you were a throwback, but you're also ahead of your time because the fullback is coming back, right? You look at the NFL, you look at San Francisco 49ers, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you look at some of these other teams, the Miami Dolphins.
This is who you think Mark Fletcher is.
Let's see who it is. No, I'll show you who I think Mark Fletcher is. Hold on.
The way you talk about Mark Fletcher as a fullback is wild to me.
Well, I think here's how I look at Fletcher. Let's talk for real here. Let's get for real in terms of what I think when I'm talking about Fletch, who again one of my favorite players on the entire team. So I think he's very much. Let me get this link up here, like a hurricane great, number 3 pick of the NFL draft. And that's right there. Alonzo Highsmith. Alonzo Highsmith, number 3 pick of the draft. Guy that was a running back and a fullback. I'm not saying Fletcher's going to be a top 3 pick. Again, we're getting to the comparison thing. But in terms of how we use him, I think that's a guy. It's a different era of offense, but I just think with Fletcher, he can run at the highest levels, and he's 225 pounds, like trying to be slim. So his natural size, 6'1" plus, you look at him, he's just a naturally big guy, and then he's extremely explosive as a blocker, just like he's explosive as a runner. He has that natural pop. Saw him at Heritage do it. You saw him in last year as a split back do it. When he's lead blocking, he can murder people. So I like him not only running the ball and as well as he did last year with more carries, but also blocking with, like, he's just someone I always want on the field because he could do so much. Again, shout out. Look, we got this NFL caliber analysis from Marquez Williams, man. This guy's the man. I'm glad the chat is on fire right now. Get this kind of analysis in the chat. But shout out to Mars Hill. But yeah, he's saying Fletcher's getting a feel faster, breaking tackles. Will put it all together. I'm fired up about Fletcher, and I think he can do so much, including, don't get this part confused, including running the football at a very, very high level.
First full healthy offseason for him, right, D?
Yes, sir.
So, and Mario talked about that the other day. So I think that's, as Kyle says here, one of the best all-around players on the team. He's a worker and a great teammate. So yeah, we're both huge fans of this guy, and got to think that a big year's in store. I think you gotta mention protecting the football, D, with him is priority number 1 this season, just because of some of the stuff we've seen. But that's pretty correctable for a player like him, I would say.
Yeah, and he's just his personality. You know, shout out to Linda Fletcher, his mom. I mean, they're like, she's a thermostat, just like him. They got high energy people. They raise the energy of the room. And I think that's what you see with Mark Fletcher. His personality when you're around him, for how physical he is and how hard he plays on the field and how rugged he is, just a great guy and a high energy player. So, and as Marquez Williams mentioned, the pass protection, he's so smart and he's big. So he's big. If you're a blitzing linebacker, how many linebackers are that much bigger than him? Right? I mean, he's 225 pounds losing weight. So he's got size and he can deal with linebackers and defensive ends as he needs to. So, yeah, he is just outstanding all-around player. Excellent pass pro, guys. The coach says right here, Coach Clay. I just think, again, not saying he is Alonzo Highsmith. I'm saying I like to think of him in that style more so than, like, people are like, oh, okay, you compare him to like an Edgar and James or someone who's just like an elite runner. And you're like, he doesn't have that kind of lateral quickness, that pure running style.
I'm sorry, D, but every time you say Edge's name, it comes out different. How do you say his name?
It depends.
You call him Egderin?
I think I said Edgarin. Edgerin.
It's Edgerin.
Edgerin. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's been you've dropped that one a few times recently, and at first I was like, was he saying Edge? Is that who he was saying?
Yeah. So shout out to Edge. We'll just say Edge. But anyways, you know, people always compare Fletcher to some of our really truly great backs that, as far as running the ball, and they say, hey, he doesn't have that kind of just patience and lateral ability and fluidity. And look, there's some truth to that. But again, I think you have to look at him as an all-around player, and that's how he's going to really impact the team in a major way. I think the guy, if you're going to compare somebody to the prior backs we've had, as far as like just the highest level running, the movement, speed, power, you know, Jordan Lyle would be the name I pop up there. Saw what he did last year. How many yards did he have per carry last year? He was just, I mean, he had the biggest run in UM history from a length standpoint against USF. And then stat-wise, a nice 7.4 yards per carry. Just a light season there for Jordan Lyle. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also a good pass protector too. He's not weak in that area. But I think just in terms of like who's the most dynamic pure runner on the team, I would say it would be Jordan Lyle, just because, again, he just kind of strings it all together. He has the moves, he has the balance, he has speed, he's big, he runs hard. So just in terms of complete runner, I would go with Jordan Lyle as the most complete runner on this team. Maybe the biggest threat to be the leading rusher on this team. I mean, we'll see. You know how running back situations are. It depends on injury and who gets banged up and who has the hot hand. But I think with Lyle, if you're asking me who has the best chance to be like a day 1, day 2 type pick, and I think Marquez Williams here in the chat agrees, I think Lyle's the one that has the best chance to be that day 1, day 2 pick at running back, like what Ohio State had last year. Not saying the other ones can't. I'm just saying he has the best chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, heard he had a big day yesterday. Guy who the breaking tackles is crazy. His contact balance we saw last year, and then the ability to explode out of broken tackles. Right, some guys like when they break the tackle, they kind of fall forward for a few more yards, and that's it. But with him, it's like he breaks the tackle and has that explosive ability out of that.
Yeah, and like Jobs Money and Order says here, contact balance is elite. I think that's really a strength of Lyle, kind of what you're getting to there. You think he's down and he spins out, size, speed,
and then hits it,
Yeah. He reminds me, this is actually like, you talk about comparisons. This is not just a style comparison. I think, looking at him, I think he could be just a little more talent, like a more talented version of Etienne from Georgia last year, who I think was a 4th round pick, something like that. But he kind of reminds me of that guy. Not the Etienne that went to Clemson, the one that went to Georgia, 4th round pick.
Who was that? Florida, Trevor,
who was a 4th round pick of the Carolina Panthers. I could see Lyle being like a better version of that. That's kind of, in terms of who he reminds me of, that's someone that he reminds me of, but I think he's better than Etienne. Etienne, again, 4th rounder. That'd be one of our highest drafted running backs in a while. But I think that with Lyle, you just get a little more talented version of that. So more of a day 2, day 1 type pick. If day 1, if everything really goes well, and then day 2, because of his well-rounded game. Still early for that kind of projection. I'm just saying that I think if the guy that has the best chance to be that type of player, and you look at Ohio State had top two round backs in Judkins and Henderson, both 2nd rounders. I think Brandon's saying ETN.
Yeah.
Do they even have the E pronunciation in French? Isn't it Etienne?
Dude, you can't do this. You have to stop with the, well, isn't it pronounced this way? It's what the person whose name it is says is pronounced. That's how it works, man. You can't go off logic on this stuff.
I guess, man. I'm gonna change the way my name's pronounced just to test people.
Do it. And then you can't claim, or they can't claim it, because then you say, this is how I want it said. This is how the name is pronounced. Am I wrong on that, chat? Like, I think that's how it goes, but
yeah. So we'll figure it out. ETN, Travis ETN. Very.
I think people are agreeing with me here, man. He always
Lance Oreste saying Etienne. That's, now I can get with that. That sounds right. Etienne.
Like I think the player has said it's a certain way.
All right. Well, listen, I'll pronounce my last. I'm gonna figure out how to pronounce my last name. I'm just gonna make it up. So I'll come back to you tomorrow with some new pronunciations of my last name.
Dimonet with a T.
So look, I mean, Oreste, my guy Oreste, that sounds like a Haitian name. There it is. Thank you, Canes Cowboy. D Money said it correctly. Thank you. There we go.
Okay.
Let's go. Chat's helping me out here. Appreciate all that. By the way, shout out to all the Zoes in the chat helping me out. I'm just trying to keep it authentic, man. I'm not trying to go off this, media guide, this middle America media guide. We're Miami, what can I tell you? So anyways, that'd be my comp for Jordan Lyle. I think he's gonna have an incredible year. I don't know. You stay attuned to draft stuff and to just running backs and understanding there's levels to all this thing. So where do you kind of see Lyle stacking up? And forget like the whole jokes about our comparisons. Now you're stacking the player and where his deal. Josh Money Order saying he's not Haitian. I'm assuming it's the French Louisiana.
You can't be assuming this stuff, man.
I'm not assuming. Well, look, it sounds like a French name. Maybe he's from Paris. I don't know, but there's something French origin, whether it's Haitian, from Haiti, Louisiana.
There's a skit somewhere in this.
There's a French in there.
There's a skit somewhere in here.
Yeah. So, anyways, Go ahead and Pete, give me Jordan Lyle. Where do you stand with him?
Look, that's a top 3 to 4 round talent, potentially higher, right? Running back, the nature of the position, you understand that there's going to be that, the draft process is different for them, but he's an all 3 down guy. He's not someone who's a complementary back necessarily. He can carry the load, but at the same time does have that breakaway speed that you would associate with sometimes one of these complementary backs. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's been very good in pass pro since he's been here, according to the coaches, and it was obvious how they trusted him last year. So I'm expecting big things from this guy, man. I think, the highest draft pick at running back in the last 10 years was DJ Dallas was a 4th rounder, 5th rounder.
Mark Walton.
Mark Walton was a 4th rounder. Someone in the chat said that he looks like Walton, but a little bit better than Walton. I would probably agree with that.
Yeah, bigger, faster.
He's bigger, faster than Walton. Walton wasn't as big as Lyle. And Lyle's just more muscled up, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think top 3, 4 round talent on this guy, which it's saying a lot with the nature of the position these days.
Yeah, no question. That's real big talent. I mean, if you're in that range, running back is a position where guys don't go as high as they used to. But I think this is someone who I think has the chance to be a real player. And obviously, we're not just caring about what he does for NFL. We're caring about what he does for the Miami Hurricanes. But I think he has a chance to be really big for us. By the way, CBD asked if anyone's complimented me on my fresh cut yet. I got to give a shout out to Oliver at Golden Touch. It's the barber for the stars there, right on campus. All the hairstyles you see on the University of Miami sideline and inside the helmets, that's mostly going to be the work of Oliver there at Golden Touch on the campus.
Lord Bagington says Duke was a 3rd rounder. I think he was like 81st pick or something like that. So yeah, Duke for sure. Duke had a different dimension to his game, which, obviously Lyle's a different player, but yeah, Duke had the game breaking ability.
100%. So switching gears, because I really think there's going to be a 3-headed monster at least. I really think there's a lot of guys that can carry. I think this room is deeper with guys that are game ready than maybe I thought it was, quite frankly. But if we're going to the guy that we know, first, again, next on the experience chart, maybe even higher experience than Lyle, but new to Miami and new to the FBS level, which is going to be Marty Brown, Shamar Brown from North Dakota State, originally from Omaha. Under-recruited guy out of high school, very productive in Omaha. Nebraska didn't really go after him, goes to North Dakota State, redshirts a year, bulks up, wins the FCS Freshman of the Year, an award that you've seen Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders win. You've seen Terrence West, Chase Edmonds, NFL guys at running back win in the past, recent history. So very good tell that he won that award. Shows up here, kind of generates instant buzz over the summer just because of his size, because of his ability to just really look the part and then translate that physicality to the field. Better jump cut and lateral quickness than I expected with Marty Brown. I think that's the one thing I've learned the most about him is that he has some nice lateral quickness I didn't know he had.
Yeah, I pay close attention to guys that are hyped up consistently throughout the staff, like talking to different levels of staff member. This is always a name that comes up since the summer and then even continuing now. And my number for him all year has kind of been like around 100 carries. I still obviously think that Fletcher and Lyle are 1 and 2, but Brown will have more carries than your number 3 last year had. So and just because of the nature of the offense, and I think he's better than what you had at number 3 last year. Not better, obviously you knew you had, but I just think as a whole they're going to be able to spread it out more. Is kind of
more ready, I think. Yeah. I mean, Jordan Lyle was your number 3 last year, and he averaged 7.
Right, that's why it's like Lyle's ahead of him, or what I would think is ahead of him this year in the pecking order. But I just think that's a better group as a whole.
Yep, and I think. He ran for 1,000 yards last year. So the level of production and proven, I know it's FCS, but this is a big time program at North Dakota State that's won a lot and put a lot of guys in the pros. So he knows that he can run. He's done it before. I think that it matters. I just think we talked about it before when we picked him up, and you've seen it here. His style fits our style. He hits the hole hard. He doesn't like to lose yards. Miami does not. Miami is always going to be elite at avoiding negative plays, under Alex Mirabal, assuming everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I think Marty Brown fits that. He's someone who's not going to get negative plays. Someone's going to push the pile. Do I think he's better than AJ Allen was? Absolutely. I would. 100%. That AJ
And I
Allen.
like AJ Allen. I think AJ Allen gave you a nice dimension. I just think this running style is a little bit different. That downhill, I mean, he's 220 plus. It's going to be a nice fit for what they've got. And then I think you have some other speed element guys also in this room. But
yeah, AJ Allen's going to be good he's at FIU, right? I think he's going to be.
No, he was there for a second and then ended up at, I don't know if it was Tulsa. I think it was Tulsa. He like left. Yeah, he's at Tulsa. So
I think he'll do well there. But I think when you talk about just ability to carry the load, Marty Brown could be your starting running back and carry the load. You wouldn't want to not have Lyle and Fletcher, obviously. But I think if you had a catastrophe at running back and you had Marty Brown, like you could use him like you would use a bell cow back, and he would give you a chance to win.
I agree with Johnny here, though. He says he'll be great in the second half, wearing down tired defenses. Yeah, to me, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think too, you almost might want to use him in the first half a little bit, because in the second half, you use Fletcher more in the second half, obviously, and Lyle as well. Those guys have a little bit more explosiveness, I think. And if you're tired already, and then Fletcher comes like shot out of a cannon, he can go 40 yards on you before you know it. Lyle can take it to the house. So those guys also in the second half could cause damage. It's going to be a tough team to tackle in the second half period, because all these guys have size on terms of those front three. But that allows me to transition here to, we got almost 1,300 on, by the way, guys. Like and subscribe to the show. That allows me to transition here to the smaller backs. And I say smaller, not small, but smaller backs than those guys who really, talk about the scrimmage on Sunday. I think both these guys were outstanding in full contact. These were taken to the ground practices, scrimmage, where you're tackling the player to the ground. You don't see that every day in practice. So these are opportunities to see who has balance, who has leg strength, who can actually deal with what they're going to deal with in the games. There's no preseason here. So these are when you find out about these kind of guys. Both of them did exceptional. Again, starting with the more experienced player, Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, up to 200 pounds. He looks different. I didn't realize he'd be able to get to this level of size, but he has. I've compared him to kind of a better Henry Parrish in the past. I think that's what he can be. And I say that with Henry Parrish being a productive college SEC back. I think Wheatley-Humphrey has all the good things about Parrish, but just more talented, more dynamic. And I think he weighs more as well. So he has the ability to run inside the tackles, to play bigger than his size. But what he really brings is that just cutting ability. He can cut at full speed without full speed going forward without losing speed. He has that just natural bounce in his ankles and feet that he can make guys look really bad in the open field without being inefficient. He could do that in tight spaces as well. And where he's really, really good, and you saw this repeatedly on Sunday, is let's say he goes up to the line and all the gaps are clogged. He has a jump cut that he can just jump over a couple gaps and then squeeze up 6 yards before he's hit. And with another back, maybe a more straightforward back, that's a 1 yard gain or worse. He, because of his jump cut and his footwork, can create more space for himself. So I think Chris Wheatley-Humphrey is very, very talented. Someone's asking about CJ Johnson, how he compares. Wheatley-Humphrey is much more lateral than Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson's speed is like the best in the country. We talk about track and full speed. No one's touching him on that. But I think Wheatley-Humphrey has more lateral quickness, more just natural running back stuff at this age. He's played running back longer. I think CJ was later to the position, whereas Wheatley-Humphrey was doing it at a high level since youth ball, Hellcat. So, yeah, I don't know what you've seen from him, but I think he has a chance. If he had to play this year for the Canes, I think he's going to get it's a long year with injuries. Everybody's going to get their opportunity. I think this guy can make plays at the ACC level right now.
Yeah, I think he'd be a solid contributor. It's tough to project without saying there's injuries, like in a healthy room, what his role would be, just because of the guys in front of him. But yeah, it's to compare him to Henry Parrish is saying a lot, just because Parrish was a really productive player in his career. But I do get what you're saying, because he's bigger and he's probably got a little bit more juice to him. But yeah, I agree with your sentiment on him.
So another guy that I want to talk about, who also had a very good scrimmage, Gerard Pringle. This is the true freshman running back out of Seth Armwood and what he brings to the table. I know you've talked to people about him before. You've talked about him on the work on your Discord, which is the speed that he brings to the table and the ability to kind of hide behind the offensive line. And then boom, he pops up and he's making runs. Not a pure speed back, meaning that like he's not physical. This guy had a lot of carries in high school. He was very much a workhorse against good teams at Armwood. This is a high level football. You see him in person. He's like a squatty. He's not tall. He's probably like 5'9", but he's a squatty guy. He's strong. And not only does he have that track speed of 10.7, however you want to say it, and to the house speed, but he does have some jump cut ability as well. That kind of combination of quickness, speed, and then enough physicality to do what he needs to do. His hero is Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not saying that's just to give you, I know you love these Pro Bowl comparisons for, guys who never played it down. I know that's what he's striving to be. But I think in terms of like how you would utilize a guy like that in their peak form, he catches some passes, he runs the ball. He's not a workhorse. You have another back in the system, but he'll break a tackle, and he also has the speed. That's probably how you would utilize him in that family of backs, because he does have pass catching ability as well, which we're starting to see.
Yeah, and from what I understand, also scored in the first scrimmage. So a guy who's had a couple good live game type of moment situations here, which bodes well for playing time. I mean, again, it's a loaded room, so we'll see how that fits in, especially like game one. I don't know how many touches these guys are getting, but yeah, I'm feeling good about that room, and still got to talk about these receivers here in a second. I want to bring this comment up. Sean Andrews says, I hope Mario allows Dawson to be aggressive with the passing game. I mean, it didn't seem to be an issue last year.
Yeah, Sean, I love you. Great contributor to the show. But I will say, yeah, Miami's passing game was it number one in the country by how much? Let's see, just in terms of yards per pass. So in yards per pass attempt, actually, we're in that stat. We were number 6. Because we were behind the service academies because they just bombed it. But in total, in passing,
imagine if Mario would have let him open it up a little bit more. Could have been first there.
I think we were second. Actually, we were second in passing to Syracuse because they threw the ball so much. But I mean, Miami's passing game from an efficiency standpoint was, probably number one in the country. Certainly running, and then you have the running game, which we were finished putting a bow on here before we went to receiver and finish the show up. We're at over an hour. We're still getting rolling, man. This is a fun time of year. We really reflect on camp. Over 1,300 on. I do think the question is about the explosiveness. We did lack that big play, one touchdown receiver. We'll talk about that here when we get to the receivers, but they have more a personnel issue than anything to do with Dawson. And obviously he did well with what he had with the best offense in the country by far. But putting a cap on the running back discussion before we move on, Pete, I think overall expectations, last year you were top 5 in yards per carry. You were elite avoiding negative plays. You were elite in short yardage. I would think all of those, you have the ability to just stay steady in those categories, maybe increase the volume a little bit just because Ward, maybe Beck doesn't pass as much as Ward in this offense.
Yeah, and hopefully hit some more explosive runs as well.
Yeah, and they'll see if a Pringle or whoever kind of comes in and does that. I mean, Lyle can do that as well. The other guys can do it, but I think those would be some of the guys you expect to really make those explosive plays. Wheatley, Humphrey, when they get opportunities, but I think Lyle, obviously, as being one of the guys that's going to be relied upon, is the one you look at. So, switching gears to the receiver position.